Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got a website using multiple monetization strategies for sale in the gaming niche. Created in July 2009, this business makes $4,892 per month in net profit, and the listing number for this site is 40508. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they are looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, James.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem, man. So the listeners out there, a quick summary. The business was built in July 2009 as a monthly revenue of $7,901 with a 12-month average. Your expenses are sitting right above $3,000 at $3,082. So net profit of $4,892. And you have quite a huge email list at 250,000, and you're also going to include your Google Drive account, which has all the documents, SOPs, training material for your staff, and more. So we got some stuff to dig into here. But before we get into the actual business, I'm just curious, could you tell us a little bit more about your background in building and running these online businesses?
Yeah, sure. So in university, I was trying to think of things how I could increase my skills, if you like. So after my first year of university, I had lots of time off. So I thought, well, let's try developing a software project. And I was a gamer at the time. And so I wanted to create myself a website for my gaming team, but there wasn't any solution out there available. So I decided to start work on it myself, just coding it all by myself. And I was originally planning on launching it as open source software, but being a poor student and not having much money to party on the weekends, I kind of realized well, actually I could kind of sell this service, and then that would give me a bit more money to help me through university. So this was actually back in 2008 when I first started working on this, and then it took about a year or so before it was production ready to be sold online. And after I launched, I got my first sale ever in my entire career, from some French-speaking Canadian guy who sent me 10 Canadian dollars or something like that. And that was a bit of a cause for celebration.
I always remember, the first time I made money online, I could definitely I understand the celebration part. It's a pretty amazing feeling.
Yeah, I went to the ATM, withdrew that, and went and bought a nice beer for it, and that served its purpose quite well. So
how did you come up with the idea to start this website specifically? Is it because of your gaming background, or did you see a real opportunity here?
Yeah, so back in 2009, most people were using things like the forum software for creating a website, right, for their gaming team. And that was good, really basic, but there wasn't anything that was dedicated to solving this problem. So I'm just well, why has nobody solved this problem yet? And so I just started working on it. And ideally, what I should have done is just dropped out of university to work on this, because it turned into be quite a decent success, and it's led me on to even bigger projects and stuff. But I continued university, just working on it as and when I could, and that gave a bit of a paycheck every month. So yeah, I was a gamer, and there was a problem that needed to be solved. And even though I'm not a gamer anymore, it's still something that I've just been...
I still identify as a gamer myself, but I haven't played video games in forever, so it's slowly losing. I keep thinking I'm going to play something, and then I never do.
Yeah.
So how does this website primarily make its money?
So the majority of the money is through subscription sales. So it runs as a freemium model. You can come on, you get your free website, and that's completely free. There are a few advertisements on there, which gives a very small amount of money. I got a few affiliate offers on there, but really advertising on the freemium plan isn't really so successful. Most of the money is made by people upgrading their account so they can gain access to more features, such as a tournament system and statistics system and additional ranks and additional forums and things like this.
That's interesting. So why are you selling this business? You said that you're working on bigger projects now. Are you why not just keep this business instead of selling it when it seems fairly passive?
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing for the past year, actually. So for the past year or so, I haven't really done too much work on it. I've just been focusing my time on my other projects that I've got going on. So the passive income has been quite nice. Or I say passive income, it does require a few hours every week, maintenance work. But for the most part, it is quite passive. So I'm not a gamer anymore. I don't have any interest in this niche, and I've been working on it on a very long time, and I'm completely burnt out with it, basically. And my time is now better spent working on my other projects, which are completely not related to gaming or web hosting.
So do you have any plans of what you want to do after the sale? Any ideas for the money?
I don't know. I mean, that would really increase my runway, if you'd like, for me to to get to work on other projects. I would definitely not be worried about my monthly income, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot of people do end up selling their businesses as a way to inject capital into a new project, or like you said, build a longer runway to get something else off the ground that they're working on.
Yeah, maybe put it towards buying a house or investing it in a different other business, online business. Something that I'm definitely more passionate about. I mean, one thing I've learned throughout the last few years is like, yeah, making money is good, but like you need to have fun making that money. And like I'm having a lot of fun with my other projects at the moment. So
No, that's awesome. That's the beauty of the internet. You can really pursue your passion a lot of the times and still make pretty good wages for doing so.
exactly.
Diving a little bit more into the site history, the site was built back in July 2009. When you first started, so you were still at university, so it took about a year to get going. So when it actually did launch, what was the trajectory of the business the first few weeks and months after you launched it?
Yeah, so it was making about $1,000 a month, give or take, for quite some time actually. It wasn't until I actually finished university in 2012 that I actually devoted my time and effort into this. And once I did that, then it kind of started to grow quite rapidly, as growing like an additional $1,000 every single month or so. And it was quite unfortunate that I actually got a job working in London at the same time, and I didn't last very long in my London job, my first real job, because I was making more money from this than what I was in London. So I just quit my job and I flew out to Southeast Asia, and I've been out here ever since.
Well, that's the dream, man. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, is there anything you learned from this business that you might apply to your future sites or the projects you're working on right now? Like something that just really worked for this website you might carry on to other projects?
Yeah, so I think this is probably a personal thing, that is to focus more on marketing. It's not really something that I naturally gravitate towards to. I'm a coder and I'm a really like a computer geek, so like I naturally gravitate towards writing code, and that's definitely a bad thing. And I think that's possibly a reason why this business hasn't grown as much as I had really liked it to, because I haven't really been working on my marketing skills so much. So moving forward, like in my other projects, I'm definitely focusing more attention on the marketing side of things.
And what did you try that didn't work? Anything that just kind of fell flat on its face with this business?
Yeah, I had a reseller program actually. So I was going to resell the same software for other businesses to use, so they could like run their own like hosting business. But the gaining traction on that was really difficult. And I spent a few months getting this reseller software like up and running so that they could remove our logo and replace it with their logo, and they can sell it to their customers and stuff. But the traction just wasn't there. And to this day, I'm not too sure why that failed.
Sometimes the things we do, it doesn't make sense why something might work or something doesn't work. It's all about testing, right?
Yeah. Maybe it was just the fact that these guys, the resellers that I brought on, they weren't so great at marketing, or their customers. It wasn't like a great product fit to their customers. But yeah, maybe the marketing channels that I'm currently using is much better. Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of marketing channels, moving into kind of the website traffic and the earnings, is most of your traffic organic referral? Is it coming from social media? Are you running paid ads towards it? Where's the traffic coming from?
So the majority of the traffic, or the majority of the paying customers, which is probably more important to talk about, is organic. So that is mostly through SEO. Google is definitely the biggest referrer of paid users. And then there are a bunch of affiliate sites out there who they get like 20% or 50% or whatever the affiliate is. Some big blogs out there for some big games, they refer us quite a few signups every single month. But the majority, the biggest one, is Google organic SEO. We do have some paid ads on Google, which are profitable, but the level of traffic to scale that up is quite limited, I think. So I'm not too sure about increasing the ad spend on Google. Facebook, I've played around with Facebook a little bit, but I haven't really done, I'm not a Facebook expert, and it didn't really devote too much time and education and resource into it. If I had more time, I probably would research doing retargeting and Facebook ads. These are gamers, so they spend a lot of time in front of their computer at home, so they're most likely going to be on Facebook.
Right, yeah. Speaking of paid ads, is most of your expenses then coming from paid advertising, or is those expenses related to other things?
Most of the expenses paying the staff and also the IT, like the servers and stuff.
How many staff members do you have?
2 full-time.
2 full-time? Are they in the Philippines then, or
Yeah, they're in the Philippines.
IT guy as well, or is the IT guy somewhere else?
So I have 1 developer and 1 VA / customer support. They are both in the Philippines.
And as far as earnings, how stable are their earnings? Is it pretty even month to month, or is there a high season or low season?
So the monthly sales are consistently inconsistent, I guess. So they do fluctuate, maybe about $1,000 to $2,000 every month. So I mean, I guess it's quite random in that respect. Yeah, sorry, what was the other question?
Oh, I was just curious how stable the earnings are. In terms of content on the site, how much content do you have on the site? You said you're doing SEO, so I'm assuming you're writing articles, you have some sort of blog set up with the website.
Yeah, we do have a blog. It's mostly a development blog, actually. So whenever we deploy new updates, my team, they write an article and that goes up there. I did research. I did pay a content writer to put up some content, but I discontinued that. Now, with regards to like SEO, what I really mean is like the primary keyword that my service targets has been in the number 1 or number 2 spot in Google for like the last 4 years or so.
4 years, that means your site has survived quite a few updates, some pretty substantial updates too. So that's definitely a huge bonus.
Yeah, exactly. And, it is an exact matching domain name. And I have considered like rebranding it into something a little bit more generic. But then, I mean, that runs the risk of like, is Google going to like that or not? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be a gamble.
So, yeah, I'm not really too worried about like losing leads from Google. I've survived, like you said, a bunch of updates, and I'm still claiming like the number 1 or 2 spot.
Panda and Penguin Survivor, man, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to, let's say you wanted to keep this website and you wanted the least risky path to grow it, what would you focus on?
I would just devote some time and effort into marketing, because I haven't done any marketing for at least 6 months, perhaps maybe up to a year, just because I've been devoting other things. I would work on the email drip with such a large, massive audience, large number of emails. Like someone told me that I'm sat on a gold pot and I'm walking around looking for pennies. And so I haven't yet figured out a way to optimize that or to monetize that to its fullest. So
emails can be so powerful. The money really is in the list for once your website becomes more of an authority in a niche instead of just a small niche site. The email list can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
What would you do if you were just incredibly risky with this business? Just threw caution to the wind and said, I'm going to grow this business super quick. What kind of marketing would you be focusing on?
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I'm not a marketer. But some risky things that I've thought about is dropping the freemium model, making it a paid-only service.
Does it cost you much to offer the freemium model?
Not really. The costs are quite small, but by having the free plan there, that's the reason why you're able to accumulate such a massive audience and like generate a lot of leads, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, but having the free plan is only good if you can translate that into money, which I think I have largely failed with. So, I mean, either I would work on desperately trying to monetize the free plan and all the free users, or just drop them all together and make it a paid only. Maybe that might increase conversions. I'm not really too sure. I don't know.
It would be intriguing to split test for sure. It's something the new buyer can definitely try out. I mean, they could always add the freemium model back if it split tests at a lower rate.
Yeah. It's not an easy decision to make.
Yeah, no, for sure. As far as risks, what do you think is the biggest risk with this business and something that the buyer should be aware of?
Biggest risk, I'm guessing even I said like Google, we've claimed the number 1 or 2 spot in Google for such a long period of time. The main traffic source for paid users does come from Google. So if there was an update in the future, that could do some damage for sure. Even though I think it's quite unlikely because we have survived all of these updates during the past few years. I mean, if the website, the main lead gen site, loses its rankings in Google, then that could be quite bad.
Yeah, for sure. You do have traffic coming in from some other sources, as you mentioned, but yeah, losing organic rankings definitely hurts. So usually, organic traffic is typically the most valuable form of traffic.
Yeah.
You mentioned that this website, while fairly hands off, it does take a few hours a week of work. Can you describe the amount and type of work you're doing on the site for maintenance?
Yeah, sure. So I don't do any coding anymore. I haven't done any coding for a few months or so. My role during the past year or so been shifting towards a more of advisory role. So I've got the processes set out. I've got all of the education material set out. We use Slack to communicate with me and my two staff members. And we use Trello. We've got all of the tasks and all of the things going on inside of there. And it's just advising just to make sure that they're doing the job that they're meant to be doing, making sure that the bugs are fixed, looking at things like customer complaints, seeing if there are a lot of complaints over this one area, and then we need to make sure that those complaints are dealt with. Paying my staff every single month, the 1st of June, I pay them. It's the 1st of June today, so after this call, I have the lovely task of doing my accounts and paying staff. And also providing them with feedback as well. So every single month I have a document and I just write down some notes about how I think they've done in the past month and some things that they should probably be working on in the next month or so, just to keep them motivated and keep them updated and making sure that they're not in the Philippines just sleeping all day and they should be doing their work.
What skills or requirements are there for someone not familiar with this niche? You mentioned that you are helping them, advising them on bugs and helping them fix bugs if needed as an advisor. But for someone that's not familiar with this niche, maybe not even with the same skill sets as you, what would you suggest for them to acquire?
Yeah, so I would probably recommend somebody who has ran some kind of software business before. If somebody hasn't ran software business before, then there's a lot of things that need to be learned. How long does it take a bug to be fixed? How complex is a bug that needs to be fixed? And I'm a technical person, so I understand all of that stuff, so it's been quite easy. But yeah, it just takes time, I think, to get the bug fixes out, the new features. With regards to the new features, I don't even decide on that anymore. And the reason for that is because we have a voting system. So our customers and users send in their feature requests, and then that gets put into a list where our users can then vote for the feature. And then whichever feature gets the most number of votes gets added into the development queue. And then our developer goes ahead and does that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Crowdsourcing your own features. It's awesome.
Yeah, because I'm not a gamer anymore. And, in the last 2 years or so, the gaming industry has changed and there's new games coming out. The esports is growing a rapid amount, so people are becoming more competitive, and I'm not keeping up to date with it, basically. So it's just best just to put it out there, let the users decide what they want.
Yeah, for sure. It is a smart move. Now, would you be offering any support to buyers, like email support or calls? And if so, how long would you be offering that kind of support?
Yeah, so I think about a month or so would be a good amount. And so I'm happy to jump on a weekly Skype call and email support. I can hang about in the Slack channel as well. So if the staff need to communicate with me or anything, or if the new owner needs to communicate with me, I can be in Slack and I can get back within a day or so.
Excellent. Would you be able to commit to a non-compete?
Absolutely. My other projects have nothing to do with gaming and nothing to do with web hosting. So I don't plan on coming back to this niche for quite some time.
Now, obviously, the best scenario is for Empire Flippers and for you to get someone who buys this at 100% of the list price, no questions asked, all that stuff. But would you be open to a split or now say where they did 70% of the list price up front and 30% on closing, or maybe something like 60% up front and then 40% over the next couple of months based on hitting certain goals, such as them being trained properly and understanding the SOPs and so forth?
That is a possible option, but I would prefer to have the full amount up front. The main reason for that is because I just don't want anything to do with this business anymore. And I think the longer that I have it, I don't know. I'm pulling my hair out basically. But
I hear you.
it could be an option. It depends what the offer is and how much work would be involved.
Yeah, of course, every offer is different, but that is good that you're open to that. It definitely opens up the door for maybe a buyer who might have a little bit more anxiety about running a business where they have to have a little bit of coding or IT problem solving skills just to make them a little bit more comfortable. I have one last question here, but before we get into it, quick recap on this business for our listeners out there. This website was built in July 2009 with a monthly revenue of $7,901 and expenses sitting right at $3,082 as a net profit of $4,892. This is all over a 12-month average. And with the sale, we'll include a huge email list of 250,000 people, servers, payment accounts, an entire Google Drive account full of SOPs, documents, and training material for the staff. So my last question for you is, what is your best pitch in the next 30 seconds? Tell me why someone should purchase this business.
I think it's a very stable business. It's a fun project. At least for me, it was very fun to work on during the initial stages. I think that there is a lot of room for growth as well. The esports industry is growing at a very rapid rate. People are making millions in that area. So it's always best to invest in a business with a growing market, right? So yeah, it's a fun project, and I still think it's got quite a bit of room for growth if somebody was to take it on and do a bit of work on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for our listeners out there, if you're watching this on YouTube and you want more info on this business, the link will be below the video that would take you to our marketplace listing. And now, if you're watching this on the actual listing page and you're wanting more information, you can become a depositor today. All you do is click the button, make a deposit, and you'll be taken to the next step in our process. James, thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.